How's it going, guys? Robbie here with On the Water to talk to you about an awesome new product by Z-Man, the 5-inch HellraiZer topwater bait. It's actually designed by chatterbait legend Ron Davis. This bait actually resembles a chatterbait in a few different ways. It's got this weighted blade on the back that gives it a nice erratic walking action. It casts very far because of that weighted blade. The only thing with it is you got to really catch up to it when that bait hits the water, get it on the surface quickly. But when you do so, it's very easy to work. It's just like a chatterbait would. You can make long casts with it, cover a lot of water, and it's very easy to fish in the sense that you can just cast it and reel it in. You can take a couple different approaches to your retrieves. You can go slower, you can go faster, you can even do a stop and go, try to throw more water in there. I find to be the most successful is a nice, slow, steady retrieve. Very similar to a chatterbait. You'll feel that vibration in your rod tip, and that will allow you to trigger more bites actually than normal topwater baits. I'll find this to be very effective early and late season, as well as through the summer. That is because with the vibrating effect of that bait, will trigger more strikes in those colder water temperatures. And that'll be very good, especially up here in the Northeast, when those temps are just starting to warm up and you're looking for those first topwater strikes of the season. This will be an awesome bait to go to. Comes in 10 different colors. My favorites are actually simply the white like we have here, and then black, which is my personal favorite because it keeps it simple and it's easy for those fish to see that silhouette on the surface, especially when you're targeting smallmouth. That black color seems to be really aggressive towards those smallmouth. They like to come up, they see that silhouette of the black on the surface, and they will attack that very hard. I actually took this bait out for the first time just recently from shore. I took this approach because you can make long casts with that, as I said before, and that allows you as a shore-based fisherman to cover a lot of water and eliminate water that you don't want to be wasting your time in. Another cool thing to note is there's going to be different color blades on all your different colors that you're going to choose from. You'll notice here with the white obviously has silver. That's going to pair really well for a bait fish imitation. And when you're going with that black, it'll have a matte black blade on it, which will match that presentation as well. And then you'll go and you'll notice and look at that bluegill color that they have, and that'll have a gold blade on it because that represents that a little bit better. And that's another cool thing to notice as well. And you'll have different color feathers in there too. And that'll all add together to a natural presentation when you're looking for those specifics, when you're trying to match the hatch on what those fish are feeding on, which will lead to more bites. Another great feature of this bait, guys, is its size and weight. It's going to be 5 inches in length and 5/8 ounce, which is going to allow you to cast very far. And that's going to be important to cover a lot of water. Going to setup-wise, I like to use a rod between 7.2 and 7.6. This will allow you to make long casts with that bait, which is very important with topwater because you want to cover a lot of water with it, and that allows you to find the fish quicker. I like to go with a medium to a medium heavy. I don't like to go up to heavy. Keep that lighter action on the rod tip, allows for better hook sets from long range. Along with the setup of the rod, it's very important to note what kind of reel you're going to use. I like to use 7-to-1 gear ratio bait caster all the way up to an 8-to-1 gear ratio. This is important to have a little bit faster of a reel because of the fact that that bait is going to sink when it hits the water. It'll be easier to catch up to that, and it's easier to moderate your speeds on your retrieves while you're fishing that bait. You can also fish it on a spinning reel as well. You'll probably get a little bit farther casting distance with a spinning reel. The only downside of that you'll see is when you're flipping your bail, it's going to cause that bait to sink a little bit longer when you're flipping that bail, but that'll be okay. If you're making those longer casts, you won't lose as much ground when you're covering that water. And then going back to the bait, some specifics with this. The feather on the back is going to add a lot more action and a little more of a flash to that bait. And one of my favorite parts is the hooks. When I first took a look at this bait, I was a little bit worried about the hooks, but then I started fishing with it and the hooks held up very well. They're very strong, straight out of the package. You can fish with them very well. They're not going to fail you. And then another thing to note is the line tie is going to be directly under the belly of this bait, and that's going to allow that bait to sit up in the water like this when it first hits the water, and allows you to turn it like that once you start reeling, and it'll immediately get into the action. But overall, this is an awesome bait. I like to use it pretty much any time of the year. I'm very excited to get more of these into my boat. It's going to be one of the most used topwater baits going into next season, especially in the springtime as we're looking for those first topwater bites.